We also have Professor Anil Gupta, HOD of the Policy Planning, National Institute of Disaster Management joining us. Also, we have Dr. Vishwas Chitale, Senior Program Lead. This is the Council on Energy, Environment and Water. Mahesh Palawat of SkyMet, the Vice President of Meteorology and Climate Change joining us as well. Thank you so much and a very good afternoon. Let's get you all the details regarding, the cyclone to begin with. When we talk about how prepared are we for this cyclone, we have Professor Anil Gupta. If you could take this question in regard to, 18 NDRF teams to be precise have been deployed in the area. We heard the Indian Coast Guard also making announcements, engaging with the coastal community. Fishermen have been advised not to venture into the sea. Yesterday, we did see a mishap as far as the coastline of Maharashtra is concerned. We had that, in that group of children, 5 children, one has died because they didn't pay heed to the kind of announcements that are being made and the kind of warnings that are being put into place. If you could take us through what more can be done.
This is very important aspect to consider that very recently we have noticed that the intense cyclone have started occurring in the west coast. Otherwise, in general, the intense cyclones used to occur more in the east coast. So this is a new learning, and based on this, the preparedness is being intensified. Second thing is that the east coast has been facing a lot of cyclones, super cyclones also. But in the recent past, the west coast, and particularly we can talk about the state of Gujarat, have faced cyclone Taukte. So that experience is with us, and so this time, in fact, the lessons of past are also being utilized, and much better preparedness well in advance is in being put in place. However, the cooperation from people, cooperation from public is also very important, and we hope that this time the loss of people's life would be quite lesser. However, when it comes to the infrastructure, since the one of the biggest port, one of the most important port, is also involved in the track of the cyclone landfall. So certainly infrastructure resilience is an issue. But at the moment, saving the life of people is one of the major concerns. So that effort is going on. The large scale evacuation is the very timely has been initiated, and very timely this has been undertaken, and partly it is being undertaken and will be completed shortly.
Right. Mahesh Palawat, if you could, take the next question regarding the warming of the Arabian Sea. Is that the reason why we're seeing a higher frequency of cyclones that are emerging in the Arabian Sea along the west coast and impacting the west coast?
Divya, now the sea surface temperature were warmer than usual, because usually temperatures are in the range of 28 to 29 degrees, but this year we have seen they crossed the threshold value of 31 degrees. In Bay of Bengal also, in the when cyclone Mocha was crunching over that area, that was temperature were around 31 to 32 degrees Celsius, and this year also in Arabian Sea they were in the range of 31 degrees. But now it is moving in cooler sea surface temperatures, and around 29 degree sea surface temperatures are there. So it has degenerated into a very severe cyclonic circulation, but it will maintain in its intensity. But while recurving to northeast direction by tomorrow, it may lose some more of its intensity and may make a landfall at with a speed of 130 to 140 km per hour. In gust, it may be 145 km per hour.
Mahesh Palawat, if you could, talk about the kind of impact it's had on the monsoon in central parts of the country. We haven't seen any rainfall whatsoever.
The impact will be very severe because despite the wind speed will be in the range of 40 to 145 degrees, but torrential rain will be very damaging, and there are chances of uprooting of trees, cut houses, damage to cut houses, power line, communication lines, all these things, and the project all the asbestos sheet and this rooftop may blow up. So there are inundation of low-lying areas up to say 1 to 2 kilometers because storm surge will be very high. So it is very damaging cyclone, and we can say that after landfall, next 4 to 5 hours are very crucial. And after making landfall, the moisture feed will get cut off, leading to rapid degeneration of the cyclone into a depression and well-marked low pressure area over South Sindh and west parts of Rajasthan.
Right. Dr. Vishwas Chitale, if you could answer this question for us. This storm has stayed at sea for 5 to 6 days, over 126 hours. It kept gathering strength. Is it the warming of the Arabian Sea which is fueling more such cyclones in the Arabian Sea?
Yes, thank you for having me on the show. Yes, this is very important that in the recent past, in last 2 decades, the increase in frequency as well as intensity has increased in the Arabian Sea in terms of tropical cyclones. And also, like if we see where it's going to impact more is in terms of the areas that are going to get impacted. Like for example, we have Kutch, Jamnagar, Morbi as the districts which are going to get badly hit by this. And our study had identified that these districts are not only vulnerable to cyclones, but these districts are vulnerable to floods as well as droughts. So when we talk about intensity of cyclones getting increased, it's not only cyclones, but it will also bring harsh weather conditions and alter the overall weather pattern in the Arabian Sea as well.
Right. The kind of devastation such cyclones bring about, is this one of the strongest cyclones that we are seeing in recent times?
Yes, I mean in 2021 we had seen Taukte, which caused the loss of 15,000 crores roughly and approximately 169 deaths. I think that time also it was COVID phase 2, which might have affected a bit of preparedness. But I think this time the preparedness measures have been very well arranged. But in order to reduce the disaster risk, we really have to focus on building the long-term climate resilience, and that can be achieved by climate proofing the infrastructure. Now we are talking about one of the major ports being hit by cyclone, which will totally cause damage to transportation as well as surrounding infrastructure in this part. So we really have to see how we can climate proof our infrastructure and understand the overall climate change vulnerability of different parts of India. And from our study, another interesting fact that comes out is 90% of districts in the coastal parts of India are vulnerable to either one of the extreme events due to climate change. And we have seen that recently the climate change, the WMO has published the report, which mentions that it's going to likely to occur more frequently and with more intensity. So it's really high time that we focus on preparedness measures and really look at this long-term resilience building.
Right. At the moment, we are seeing how prepared we are for the cyclone, which is brewing at sea. It's going to make landfall on the 15th of June, and it is going to cross the coastline of Mandvi in Gujarat and Karachi in Pakistan. So it's quite a huge distance that it's covering of about 400 kilometers between those two areas. So it's a very huge storm that's coming about. It's going to cause destruction to low-lying areas. Fishermen have been warned not to venture to the sea. Vulnerable people are being moved from those vulnerable locations to safer locations. Thank you so much, Dr. Vishwas Chitale, for joining us. Professor Anil Gupta as well as Mahesh Palawat of SkyMet joining us this afternoon.